Hey, what's up, guys? I am in the airport, and that is why you're hearing noise in the background. I hope you guys are doing well. Oh, so anyway, I wanted to talk about Kamala Harris. Or Kamala Harris. A lot of people are talking about Kamala today. So I thought that I would throw in some perspectives on a couple of things. I did a video about it earlier, but there was more to kind of get out, and I want to kind of talk about that. So here we go. So I was reading online. Hey, Latanya, how you doing? I was reading online that there's a lot of conversation about whether or not Kamala is Blaggenuf. You know, our word Blaggenuf, B-L-A-G-G. That's the word we use in the title, because that's actually our social media platform, Blaggenuf, Blaggenuf.com. And so the debate's going back and forth about her background, her heritage. Here's the thing. You know, I can already see how people are kind of angling it, you know, in their own way, right? You know, you've got the right-wingers who don't love black people, don't care nothing about black folks. They just do anything to try to discredit a Democratic candidate. I don't listen to that stuff very much, because to me, you can't really challenge somebody's blackness unless you show that you care about black people, unless you show that you're actually doing things specifically and uniquely for the black community. Then at that point, you can challenge things. But if you're just a guy trying to get Donald Trump reelected, I don't know exactly what benefit you have to the world. Now, at the same time, though, you see the other side of the political game, where you see the liberals and the Democrats sort of jumping in and discrediting it immediately, like they're discrediting any conversation about it and putting her in the victim position. Like, oh yeah, they tried to do that with Barack, and oh, this ain't nothing but the birther movement all over again, and it's all a bunch of nonsense and blah 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 blah. And I don't agree with that either. You know, these dirty political tricks are not fun for me. I like understanding the truth. You know, and with politicians, you just don't get the truth that often. It just don't happen. Now, by the way, somebody asked, how do I send you a private email? My manager's email is manager@boycewatkins.com. So feel free to send it to manager@boycewatkins.com. But anyway, so if you look at Kamala's background, I'd love to get you guys' take on this. Somebody says, Shirley says, I think she's black enough and qualified. Okay. Well, I'm not going to say she's not qualified to be president. I mean, she's more qualified than Trump. But that ain't saying much, right? You know, and she was the California Attorney General, right? So, you know, if I was a card-carrying liberal or card-carrying Democrat, like I was committed to the Democratic Party, you know, I probably support her. But I'm not. I'm committed to the black community, which means I have a higher standard for what I need from a politician. You know, you're not going to get my vote unless you can show me that you're going to give me value in exchange for the value that I give to you. So, you know, with Kamala's background, if you look at her background, she's got the Jamaican in her background. She's also part Indian, right? So the fascinating thing about it, though, is that if you also do more research, her father, I don't know what happened between Kamala and her daddy, but he is not helping the campaign, you know. So he is a Stanford economics professor, so a very smart man. He ain't no Looney Tune. He ain't no idiot. He basically wrote about Kamala's family and how they actually have slave owners in their heritage. Which is fascinating, right? I'd be curious. I don't know. I mean, I don't imagine that these slave-owning relatives of hers were black, but it's possible. I mean, you know, when you look throughout the world, weird things happen, but I don't think that's the case. At the very least, without regard to what color these individuals were, there is the conversation about which side of the fence do you ride on? You know, which side are you on? You know, and so with Kamala, my concern is not so much about her descendants, her heritage, because you can't really control that. You can't control who your granddaddy was and what your grandmama did. I mean, that's their issue, not yours. I think it's more so about whose side you're on. You know, if I had a choice between voting for a black man who was a coon and voting for a white woman who was really down for the cause and really down to help black folks, I'd vote for the white person, because it's all about what you do, not who you are. That, when people vote based on who you are, that's what they call identity politics. And identity politics leads us down the wrong rabbit hole on multiple occasions. It leads us to the wrong conclusions. It leads us to support people that we should not support. I just walked by a billboard and I saw Anita Hill. Anita Hill was involved in a controversy with Clarence Thomas when he was trying to get on the Supreme Court. And I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember this, but Clarence Thomas played the race card big time. And a lot of black folks, including the NAACP, got behind him heavy to get him on the Supreme Court. And, and it was a big mistake. It was a tragic mistake. And everybody knew it within about a year of the time that they put him on the court. So, I'm not real particular about whether or not I think you're black enough or not. It's more so about where's your head at? Who do you identify with? Who do you serve? Who is your everybody's got a master they serve. Everybody, you, me, we all do. We all have something that we value, something that we believe in, people we align with, people that matter for us. I have the benefit of being able to be pretty simple about it. You look at my track record, it's been black, blickety, black this, black that, and financial, black and economic, black economic empowerment. That's kind of the thing I've always talked about. Now, with a president, obviously, it has to be more complicated because you're trying to become commander-in-chief of a historically white supremacist, racist system. And, so you have good reason to be legitimately skeptical of any black person who rises through that system and gets the opportunities that a Barack Obama gets or a Kamala Harris gets. There's a reason to be skeptical because you're probably getting a rope-a-dope. You're getting somebody who's going to take advantage of the fact that they can use identity politics to fool the masses, right? They can come and just be like, oh, look at him, he's black, but he's not super black, he's biracial, so he identifies with white, he identifies with black, he went to Harvard, so he's got the Harvard swag, but he knows how to talk and walk like a brother when he's in black spaces, like Barack Obama was the original Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is Barack Obama 2.0. Cory Booker is a discount version of Barack Obama. He's just not as smooth, not as persuasive, not as interesting of a candidate, right? And so when I try to understand these politicians and who they are, I like to read their bios. You can learn a lot about a politician by reading their life story. What decisions did you make before you had the presidency on the line? What things were you saying before you were running for president of the United States? Who were you when you didn't give a shit? When you just did what you believed and just followed your bliss? What person were you back then? And when I read Kamala's background, and I heard it today, I heard about the little things she did with Joe Biden, like I was the little girl and who bust across town and you're racist, blah 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 blah. It hurt kids like me. Okay, yeah, and then she puts this little picture up online of herself looking like a mean 9-year-old, like she's living in the hood, and she wasn't living in no damn hood. She was not growing up in a typical African-American household. I mean, we know that. This we know. Your daddy's a Stanford professor. Do you know how hard it is to be a professor at Stanford? You're rolling with the cops. Who you marry matters too. I brought that up, and people got mad at me for bringing that up, but I don't give a shit. I'm like, let's uncover every stone. Let's look at every decision, especially the important ones, and that tells you who a person is. Why did you marry Doug Emhoff? Well, it's probably not a coincidence. Doug is a white man who happens to be Jewish, who happens to have bankroll like a motherfucker, has money up the ass, and is politically connected. That tells me that your relationships are strategic. You dated Willie Brown when you were 30 years old. He was 60. He was rolling with your grandfather, and you dated a 60-year-old man when you were 30. That's a big gap. 30 years, my God, that's a generation gap. Like literally. So, that doesn't mean she's a bad person. Because she's qualified, she's smart. Ain't no question about her being smart. But my question is, who the hell are you? Because if you don't figure out what these politicians, you got to look at what they do and what they've done and what they're saying, what they've said. Don't pay attention to what they're saying, because what they're saying now is what needs to be said to get elected. My thought is, what were you saying 20 years ago? What were you doing a decade ago? That tells me a lot about who you are. So, for example, with Barack Obama, I knew healthcare and gay rights and liberal issues, gay rights, feminism, and healthcare were his top priorities, because I looked at his personal life and I saw the things that shaped him as a younger man. And there were instances that stood out that involved things that related to healthcare, things that related to, the gay community, things that related to, feminism. And, his mother, I read about his mother's life in extreme detail to understand his mother. Your mother's your first teacher. That's the person who shapes who you are as a person, right? So that's how I got my number on Barack, in terms of understanding, okay, I don't think he believes this, but I think he does believe that. And that's why he's making progress over here, but he's not making progress over there, right? So with Kamala Harris, is she black enough? I don't even know if that's necessarily the most relevant question. I know plenty of super blickety black people who ain't gonna do two shits for the black community. I don't really care. I don't think that's even a fair debate, But at the same time, I think that when you look at her choices. I listen to her words. She tries really hard to say the right thing and to fit in out of convenience. And I get a sense, like, especially given that she had that crazy relationship with Willie Brown, who got her ahead of the game or whatever, that she's a person that will do what she needs to do to get what she needs at that moment. And then afterward, you might not be relevant to her anymore, right? So I think a lot of these politicians, they're using black voters. I did research just now, and I looked up Kamala Harris's position on reparations. I said, what specifically has she said about reparations? I need to know. What are you promising? Because that's what you got to pay attention to as well. What are the politicians promising on reparations? On reparations, Kamala said that we should study reparations. Okay, that's nice. That ain't enough. We know that. I mean, we've been studying it for 400 years. We've been studying the trauma for 400 years. Stop studying, goddammit. Do something. Seriously. But then I read some, where she was talking about a bill. I'm trying to look this up on my other phone so I can quote her exactly as I saw it. But she was talking about some sort of act that she wanted to pass. And with this act, let me see if I can find it. With this act, she wants to give a tax credit of $500 a month to all families with incomes below $100,000. That pissed me off. And her argument was, this will bring, X% of black people out of poverty. Yeah, but that ain't reparations. And so I'm hoping that that's not the entirety of her plan. Maybe it's evolved. This is what I found in my research. If y'all see anything that's different, let me know. And just out of fairness to her, I'll repeat it on this channel. I mean, my goal is to have real conversations. I'm not here just to always bash people. Like, that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to be haters. We're trying to be lovers of ourselves, man. Like, black people get played in every election, and I'm just tired of it. I don't know about y'all, but it bothers me. I don't enjoy the fact that every election we're the ones showing up and goddamn rock the vote campaigns and souls to the polls and vote or die and all this other shit, and we're the ones showing up at the polls religiously after church and everything, and then nothing changes. We don't get anything. I'm tired of that, man. It does not interest me. It bores me. It puts me to sleep. Shut up. Stop it. Stop trying to get me excited about the same stupid shit that you tried to get me excited about 4 years ago. It ain't working. I think black people have matured. I think black people are smarter now than we were, and it's showing a little bit. It can show more. It's gonna keep showing more, because you can't keep getting fooled forever. Let me read this to you. This is on The Guardian. Hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button if you haven't done that. If you haven't hit the thumbs up button, please do that. That helps bring more people into the live stream. because I like to have these intelligent black conversations with you guys. Because so much of the other black media is just about stupid stuff. I'd rather talk about things that are interesting, or at least take regular topics and make them intelligent. So here's what she said about reparations. So her position, according to The Guardian, is non-committal. Boom, there you go. Again, Kamala, her name might as well be Chameleon. I think somebody called her Chameleon Harris. She's really doing an interesting little rope-a-dope. So here's what she said about reparations. She said, I think that the term reparations, it means different things to different people. But what I mean by it is that we need to study the effects of generations of discrimination and institutional racism and determine what can be done in terms of intervention to correct course. Well, the hearings, I think, were a good start. The question that we should ask about the hearings is what happens after the hearings are over. We've heard it. Okay, so y'all have heard the same message a million times over. We know black people are suffering like hell. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that. Are you fixing it? Like if somebody is shot, has bullet wounds in their body, and they're dying, and you say, we're going to have a hearing, we're going to do a hearing so we can research whether or not you were shot, how bad it hurts, whether or not you need medical treatment, and then we're going to do nothing. What does that really do? The black community has bullet holes in our brains. Like, we've been shot down and stabbed and beaten and kicked and raped and everything else. And you're studying the effects of what we've gone through, but with no action. So I think that's the bigger question, right? Like what's the next step of action? Maybe there's something there I don't know about. I'm actually going to have Julianne Malveaux on the show pretty soon. Julianne, she gave me an earful when I was at the FraserNet conference because she doesn't agree with what Dr. Claude Anderson said. And I love Julianne, I love Dr. Claude, so and that ain't never going to change. So I told Julianne, I said, I want you to come in here and I want you to give your perspective on what's going on and what you think. I want to hear all those voices. These are my elders. These are the people I look up to a lot. Dr. Ron Daniels is another reparations expert who is going to come through and join the podcast as well, because I think the goal should be to get to the truth and to figure out the solutions, right? So here's what else she said about reparations. Let's see here. She says, here's what she has proposed. This is the part that kind of got me a little bit. It kind of irked me a little bit. She proposes something called the LIFT Act. The LIFT Act is a bill introduced by Harris which would provide a universal tax credit. Universal meaning everybody, which means that ain't no motherfucking reparations. Reparations are for descendants of slaves. Stop it. You can't give a tax cut to the poor and call it reparations. That ain't reparations. The LIFT Act would be a universal tax credit to families with an annual income under $100,000 of up to $500 a month. So that's her plan for reparations based on what I'm reading here. Harris argues that the policy would lift 60% of black families across the nation out of poverty. I pray to white Jesus, black Jesus, and baby Jesus that this ain't all Kamala's got. If this is all Kamala has, then I'm just gonna say right now that it's a complete waste of time to show up and do anything for her. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying it doesn't make me want to get out of bed and go to anybody's poll to vote for anything, because I really don't see that as substantive. That's the same rhetoric we hear from the Democratic Party every election. Every election, the Democrats promise a tax credit to the poor. Every damn election. They're always talking about relief for working families and middle-class families and families with incomes under $100,000. That statement literally, it's repackaging the same thing they fed you every election and somehow expecting you to believe that it's different this time, that this is your reparations. That's not reparations. That is not reparations. A tax credit for working class families, a universal tax credit, is not reparations. And also what that is called, what we call that trickle down liberalism. Trickle down liberalism is basically where the liberals will have a policy that applies to everybody, and they'll say, yeah, but black people benefit too. No, that's not what we're looking for. We're not, if somebody if you ask somebody to drive you to your house and they say, well, I can drive you east because I'm dropping off these other people because they're important enough for me to drop them off. I'm going in your general direction. That should be good enough. That's not quite the same level of respect as somebody saying, no, I'm going to drive straight to your house and go right to your driveway and drop you off. That's very different thing. So I think that just that level of respect isn't there yet. And I think Kamala, unfortunately, reflects that. She reflects that. Shirley says, I'm glad I found you, Dr. Boyce Watkins, because I have learned a lot. Thanks for sharing information. Well, thank you for the kind words, Shirley. And just know, I'm not trying to tell you what to do when you vote. I just want you to use your head. Just think it through. And I'll be, openly honest about what I plan to do. Right now, none of this excites me. But I'm 48, so I'm not 28, right? So I've been looking at the same stuff over and over again. I've evolved. I remember being 22 or 21 or whatever, and I remember Bill Clinton running for office, and I really thought that the best way to be black was to be like a black Democrat. Like, I really thought that was the best option that we had, because at that time you didn't question like the civil rights movement. Like, the best thing in the world to have ever happened to black people was when white people started letting us shop at their stores and go to their schools and all this other stuff. It wasn't until now where we look back and we say, wait a minute, so we supposedly have better lives now that you let us shop at your stores, give money to your schools, work at your corporations, and blow up the property values in your neighborhoods because we all trying to live in the suburbs, which leads to our stuff being absolutely worthless. We black people can't have a damn university because we're all trying to go to white universities and give them $250,000 of our family wealth, which comes in the form of student loan debts, for which half of all black college graduates have defaulted and have terrible credit and are going to die in debt as a result of that. We don't have businesses because all of our potential business owners went to go serve you and your corporations. Our neighborhood property values are dead because we're taking all of our wealth and trying to move into your neighborhood. Our businesses can't grow because because our consumers are so busy spending money at your businesses that they don't have time to spend money at their own. Most older people I know that I talk to, I talk to old folks a lot. I love my elders. I have some wise elders that I talk to. My favorite 5 elders that I love to talk to the most is Minister Louis Farrakhan, Kenny Gamble in Philadelphia, Dr. Claude Anderson, Dr. Ron Daniels, and Dr. Julianne Malveaux. And I love Cornel West. He's only 13 years older than me, I think, but I love him too. And these are just great people because they give me different perspectives on things. And I'm gonna tell you, most of them, when they talk about the old days before integration and all this stuff, they usually say very good things, very favorable things. We had better neighborhoods, we had better communities, we had more sovereignty. They might not have had as much in terms of job opportunities and income, but remember, income is not wealth. Well, income is only an opportunity to have wealth. If you have income but you choose not to build wealth because you give your money away, then you might as well not have income. I'd rather have a low income with the desire to build wealth than to have a high income with no desire to build wealth. We lost our desire to build wealth. Our value systems have been watered down and changed because we're so busy trying to fit in with everybody else. And politics is kind of ground zero for this ideology and this rhetoric, because so many black people, they think that the best way to be pro-black is to be like this raging black liberal, where you take all these liberal ideas related to these horizontal issues like sexuality, like who you're fucking. Like, I don't care if you're having sex with a man or a woman. I'm gonna say it right now, I don't care. As long as you ain't sleeping with no animals or no children or nothing like that, or with your siblings, then for the most part, I really don't care what you're doing in the bedroom. So why are we divided over who people are having sex with? Why is that even something that has to be a point of division? Why don't we just all be black? Why are we divided over the feminist issues and stuff like that? I understand white women have their issues with white males, but black men are not white men. We don't have the same power. And so I think that we lost our ability to really have our own conversations. And that comes, there's a lot of structural factors behind this. One thing that whites are very good at doing, the white America is very good at doing, is they establish institutions and support institutions that support their ideologies. Like they have universities that pretty much train young people to think a certain way. Like you go to college, you're gonna come back most likely with liberal views on sexuality, on gender, on the environment, etc., and a few other issues, right? Because universities are used as, some would say propaganda, at the very least. They're sort of designed to build soldiers for, for these Democratic Party movements, things like that. So black people, we need our own institutions. Media creates certain people, it creates a mindset. That's why the agenda is real. When people talk about the agenda in Hollywood, go pay attention to how the black characters in most Hollywood movies are shaped. Most of the time, the black character, you'll see a lot of promotion of things like interracial dating, particularly black women dating white men. The message they want for black women is you need to give up on black men because black men are garbage. And so there's a celebration of black women who marry white men, like the Meghan Markle celebration, even though, they got their family wealth by stealing it from black people. Kamala Harris married a white guy who's Jewish. Now the list goes on and on and on. You can just watch some of the shows that you see on TV. So there's this set of ideas that are always pushed. And so my argument is that as black people, we need to have our own institutions that can counter these ideas. That's why one of the biggest things I've always wanted to do is develop black media. So when I tell you guys, let's form more and more black media so that we can push our own narrative. Let's form black schools so that we can teach our kids our own way. Let's really look past the necessity to go to college. Ain't no rule out here saying that you got to go to college. There's nothing saying if you're black, most of the time you're trying to pay some damn bills and get your family in a good situation and have security and freedom. So college is just one way you can possibly achieve that. But there's a million ways you can do that, right? But if nobody's listening, if you're letting other people from other communities tell you how to succeed as a black person, 9 times out of 10, you're always going to fail. If your oppressor is trying to teach, is the one you're claiming that's teaching you how to overcome your oppression, you're almost always going to fail. Why in the hell do you ever think an oppressor would teach you how to thoroughly overcome the oppression? The only thing the oppressor will teach you is how to support and align yourself with the oppression so that your abuse is not as bad as it would be if you were rebelling against the system. That's what these systems are designed to teach you. That's what media teaches you. That's what universities teach you. They basically show you as a black person, look, if you just shut up, if you remain quiet, if you just settle down, get in line, wait your turn, do what we do, then you can get you a little job and you can survive. That's not how you get real power. That's the truth. All right. So anyway, hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button. Let me see. Ryan says that makes so much sense. Oh, well, thank you. Let me see. Dialite, I want to know, is it still worth it for a black person to major in computer science if companies won't hire a black person over their own? Yeah, I think computer science is a good major. I met a black computer science major, I think today or yesterday. And I told him I thought it was a great major. So, because you have a real skill. You have a real skill, and I think that's good. That's smart. But just also remember that they actually have online universities that teach you how to program computers, where the online university literally will be like $200 a month. And you can learn, literally languages that can get you hired at Apple and Google or help you start your own company like within a year or two. So if I were doing it over again, like that's what I would do. I would literally get online and find some online classes or whatever and learn it that way. I mean, unless you just, but college is fun. It's just very expensive fun. It costs way too much. Let me see here. Yeah, the All Black National Convention, thank you for sharing that, Dual. The All Black National Convention happens the weekend of September 27th. Mark it on your calendar. It's in Houston. You can go to allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. That's where we discuss a lot of these issues in person. That's where we make action plans. We talk about building. It's amazing. If you've gone to the convention before, say something in the comments and what it did for you so other people can know how great it is. It's really an amazing experience. Thank you for the donation, Ryan. I appreciate that very much. Lil Nas X just came out as gay. Okay, well That'll get them another hit. Let me see. Yeah, okay. Dual says sign your kids up for Black Millionaires of Tomorrow. Yeah, blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. That's our wealth building program for children in the Black Business School. So it's blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. The URL's right there. Let me see here. The Truth Seeker says your insight and intelligence is highly appreciated. Thank you for your knowledge. Black Business School. Invest in real estate. May your family be blessed. Thank you very much for those kind words. I appreciate that very much. Marion White is not a rise up, says Darlene X. No, I mean, it's not. I mean, Marion Black, I see that as a step up. I think Black people, we're indestructible. we're kind of a super species. We're kind of amazing. Let's see here. There's no one for us at this time. That's so true. Kamala Harris is definitely not Black culturally. I think Kamala just kind of is able to navigate a lot of different spaces, and I think that's what you're seeing. That's why it's kind of confusing, because she's not really kind of committing to any particular dimension of who she is, because that's not how you get elected. Like, you can't really, honestly, you can't get elected that way. That's why I told you, you guys, I'll never run for office, because to run for office, you really have to be a chameleon, and I don't want to be a chameleon. That's not fun. That kind of sucks. Let me see. Talib says, because people equate Black rights to everyone else's movement. That's true. Yeah, they're already asking for reparations for the LGBT community. I think the New York Times wrote that up. Let me see here. People don't think for themselves. No, they don't. But I tell you, but that's what I want you guys to do. Like, that's the goal here. Like, my goal is not to think for you. It's to encourage you to think for yourself. So if you're looking for me to tell you what to do, I'm just not that guy. But I will give you insights that hopefully will help you make the decision that works best for you. Let me see. When in Houston, the weekend of September 27th, and also we're doing a financial Juneteenth investing seminar in Chicago on July 28th. You can go to drboycechicago.com if you want to come out. drboycechicago.com. Let me see. My granny had 2 run from Black and White horses. Okay, I don't know what that comment comes from, but okay. Do not do your research on that. Do not. Wait, no, you're not do your research on that computer science, okay? College is also about networking. Yes, it is, but there are better places for Black people to network. Let me give you an example. I went to something called FraserNet. FraserNet is a networking conference that happens for Black people every year. And these are very special Black people. These are Black people who have businesses, who are making money, who have education, who are trying to build, who are not afraid of being Black. And it was the best networking experience I ever had. So I think that places like that are the best places to network. Because I've been at the best schools. My brother went to Cornell, my goddaughter went to Columbia, another Ivy League school. Let me check on my flight. And shit, guys, I'm gonna have to walk over here, make sure my flight ain't leaving me. But I'm telling you, I think that we have to create our own networking spaces. I think that the thing about networking is, like, I didn't really enjoy networking very much, honestly, because I got tired of having to go kiss some white folks' asses to get certain opportunities. So I just did a lot of things by myself, because I was like, I don't really fit in. I mean, I'm not going to deal with people who can't respect me as a man for who I am. So I didn't really enjoy a lot of the so-called networking events, because I kind of felt like I didn't fit in, because I don't fit in with ratchet Black people. So I'm not going to be networking like at the BET Awards and dumb shit like that. And I don't fit in with white folks, right? So, FraserNet was special for me because that was one of the few places where I really felt like I was at home. Like I really felt like I was with my family, and it was an amazing feeling because they got me. There's nothing worse than when you bust your ass and you try to do the right thing and you try to be a good person, but yet you have people treating you like you're a criminal or like you're a bad person or something like that. I don't accept that. So a lot of times I used to just keep to myself. But that's a conference I'm probably going to go to every year because I really respect what George Fraser put together. And the other interesting thing is that there was a lot of conversation about coming back to Africa, and reconnecting with our African roots taking trips and group trips and journeys back to Africa, doing business in Africa, because black people need a home country. Everybody else has their home country. The Jews have Israel, and the Italians have Italy, and the Chinese have China. Well, Africa is our China. So I really think that we have to sort of rethink things for the next generation in terms of how we're going to live the rest of our days, but also the framework we're going to teach our children, so they can be empowered, when they think about, what it means to be black and what trade-offs do I actually have to make and what things actually make sense. Information on the FraserNet conference is spelled F-R-A-S-E-R, so you can feel free to go look it up. Just look up George Fraser, F-R-A-S-E-R. He's a good guy, and I respect him a lot. And so one more thing I'll tell you guys is if you actually want to learn how to invest in stocks, one of our campaigns is we're trying to get 1 million black people to become stock market investors. So what we offered is a free training, very short video, about 20 minutes, on how to buy your first share of stock. So if you go and sign up at blackmoney100.com, that's blackmoney100.com, you can actually go there and learn, and you'll be an investor by the end of the night if that's what you choose to do. And then you can start buying stock, and it'll be fun, and you'll be happy you did it, I guarantee you. So anyway, hit the thumbs up button, The conclusion on Kamala Harris, and I'm gonna let you guys go, I gotta get ready for my flight. My conclusion on Kamala is, I do believe her father when he says that they used to own slaves, which obviously makes her a person who's not a descendant of slaves. Does that matter? Yes, it does. But is that the defining factor in all of this? No, because there are plenty of descendants of slaves who won't support reparations, things like that. So I almost feel like sometimes talking about somebody's long heritage 3 generations back is not as relevant as talking about who they are right now. Now, when you look at who Kamala is right now, she is the lady who has not made a definitive committal position on reparations. She's the lady who appears to be changing who she is in order to get votes. She is the lady who appears to be kind of using the black community in a way that I don't think is going to work out for black folks. She's also the lady, who went to an HBCU and became an AKA. But she's also the lady who, for some reason, went on and married a white guy, and I don't understand that. That's a little weird to me. Because most people I know who are really, really super black, like really deeply committed to blackness, they just insist on marrying a black person. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's not racist. It's not racist at all. Lots of cultures do that. There's wealthy Indian families and Asian families and shit. They're not going to let you just bring anybody into the house and marry them. Now, I've had people in my own family marry outside the race, and I love them. I don't have an issue with it. I'm not mean to them or anything, but but I felt personally, I decided within myself that marrying a black woman was really important. Like, I don't think I could be sitting here as the black man that I am to some of you and be like, oh yeah, here's my wife Becky. Like, I don't think that would fly. I think that it would be an insult to a lot of black women, because I think a lot of black women, because I'm sure right now, literally, if I was single and I went on to my YouTube channel and said, I'd like to meet a nice black woman, I would probably have a bunch of women in my mailbox, like right there. So there's plenty of great black women out here to date. So why would I, if there's so many great black women out here who understand me, who can use me in their life, who will respect me for who I am, and who understand me and my experience, why do I go outside of that to find somebody else? That doesn't even make any sense. That's like you got 50 restaurants on your block and you drive across town to eat a cheeseburger, a mediocre cheeseburger, So Yolanda said, I thought you were single. Technically, yes, but technically, no. I am not single. I have a beautiful black woman I love, and that's the woman I want to marry. Ain't no question about that. Now, don't be asking me when we're gonna get married, because that ain't none of your damn business. I don't let anybody pressure me into any decisions, but that's the one I want to be with. And when we talk about issues of race, she gets it. There's no explanation. There's no racist daddy to deal with. There's no weirdness. There's no like if I die, all my wealth transfers into the hands of people that are outside the black community. Like, none of that is happening. Like it's a black woman, and I don't see, there's nothing wrong with that. There ain't nothing wrong with loving your own. Ain't nothing wrong with being committed to your team. There's nothing wrong with seeing marriage as the building of power. I think actually, in an odd way, I think Kamala Harris identifies with that in a different sort of way. I think her marriage to Doug Emhoff, as well as her dating Willie Brown, who was 30 years older than her, that says to me that all her relationships are built on a specific goal. There is such a thing as relationship goals. Some people's relationship goal is to get more sex. Some people's relationship goal is to build an empire. Some people's relationship goal is to get a come up. Everybody has a relationship goal. And I think that you can determine by a person's choices what their relationship goal is. And my relationship goal is, I want to be the black woman so we can build something big and black and strong. That's fun for me. And I think Kamala's reason for marrying Doug Emhoff partly was driven by the fact that he's a guy that can help her become president. It is what it is. I mean, what are you going to say about it? It's not even a matter of making a judgment on it. You can judge it how you want. I think what's really important, though, is seeing the facts and interpreting the facts as they're meant to be interpreted. That's what I would say. They're boarding my flight now, so I got to run. Hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button. And once again, if you want to learn to buy your first share of stock, just go blackmoney100.com. That's blackmoney100.com. I'll be in Chicago on July 28th. That's drboycechicago.com. And in a couple of days, I leave for Scotland. So I'll be hitting you guys up from Scotland, and we're going to go Scotland, all these white countries, Scotland and London and Ireland and all that stuff. But I'll hit you guys back when I get overseas as well. So talk to you guys soon. Have a good day. Actually, I'll see you tomorrow probably. Take care. Peace.